It sounded more like firecrackers that really got everything started out here, Shep.
I don't understand why they just did that. People are just standing around on the sides of the street. Why did they fire this?
Well, there were a lot of people who were in the middle of the street, Shep. A lot of people who were in the middle of the street, and they'd been taunting the officers for quite some time. And they had blocked the street, barricaded it, if you will, with a bunch of different objects and some road signs that they had pulled off the street. And you heard the order of the officers to mask up. I see them firing some of the smaller, like powder balls. I've seen those before. A lot of the flashbangs going off. A whole lot more tear gas. And this area is pretty well inundated with tear gas at the moment. You can see how much of it's out there. Another flashbang. And they cleared out this area pretty well. Jeff?
It's clear they did clear it out. On the other end of the street, our Steve Harrigan is there. Steve, I was watching as police walked by your end. What's happening there?
Shepard, we have a daredevil here in a civilian vehicle who is now faced off alone against a line of 4 deep police, including SWAT vehicles. They're trying to get him out of the car. Back.
Steve Harrigan is on a remote unit that allows him more mobility, but sometimes Steve Harrigan's camera goes down as a result. While we're waiting, this is a camera that's just down the street from him. You can see him where he was talking about this daredevil. Steve, you're back up live. Go ahead.
It looked like someone tried to challenge the police line with a civilian vehicle. And he was pulled out of the car and handed over to the police.
What did he do?
Yeah, what did he do?
He just drove his car down the center of the road and faced off against the police. I'm not sure what his goal was, but he's carried away in flex cuffs right now.
So I'm assuming that everybody who was down where the tear gas was on the other end of the street where Mike Tobin was has now moved their way down to where you are, Steve. Is that fair?
No, they're still down there, and I think the tear gas has actually attracted some of the people. They want to get a closer look, and they're moving actually towards the tear gas, if you can understand that. Just one point, too, to keep in mind as to numbers. Earlier in the day, we saw perhaps 1,000 protesters around twilight, a lot of families now. Mainly young people, and let's keep the numbers in perspective. On this end of the street, probably 150 protesters max. So when you're talking about, a city burning or a city on fire, we're seeing very few protesters at this end. Probably 400 police, 150 protesters.
Yeah, cameras can be illuminating. They can give you so much information about something that's happening. They can also distort. And in this case, because for hours on end, we sit here and watch what it is happening between the police with their big machines and their riot gear and their stun grenades and their flashbangs and their tear gas and all the rest. And then a few residents who are trying to keep the peace, others, many of whom are from outside, who are running around in a hooligan sort of fashion, and hundreds of media with their cameras trained on it. It just seems like if there weren't such a sad beginning to it all, Steve, a horrible comedy of the absurd. And of course, Steve's cameras.
I'm just surprised that armchair quarterbacking, of course, why in the face of 100 protesters, there's not more of a drawdown or a pullback from this line of riot police. It seems they could perhaps defuse the situation a little bit, but it doesn't look like that's the intent. You see tear gas at one end of the street, and we're waiting to see what happens at this end. I'm telling you, if they wanted to clear out the 100 or so protesters here, they could do that in a matter of minutes. Now we see a SWAT truck, Dutch, if you could turn to your right, loading up there. Looks like it's going to drive into the crowd as we've seen before. Often officers coming out of the... another driver. The chaotic situation here speaks for itself, Shepard. It looks like a SWAT truck is getting ready to go. We've seen that in the past where they'll drive into the crowd and a number of SWAT officers will leap out of the back and and apprehend an agitator. We've seen that once or twice, and it looks like we're perhaps going to see that in the coming up.
Okay, this was earlier.
The street now is Mike Tobin's camera. Mike Tobin's camera, and stuff's going off again. Mike, what is that?
Yeah, okay. It's getting a little more hairy out here, Shepard. The police say that there is a guy with a handgun off, actually to your screen right. And that is
Now I got this recorded.
Behind the brick wall. They're looking for him. Now, we also heard a number of pops that to me sounded different than firecrackers coming from your screen left. In response to that, the officers fired out another flashbang, and you can see behind the tactical vehicle, there's a number of them looking off in that direction. Now we've got a crowd of people running across here, and they're running right in the path.
And a line of authorities headed your way from Steve Herring's way.
Well, they're going to be heading in the, I see more tactical vehicles coming up in this direction.
All of those just left Harrigan's area and have now come to yours.
Okay. Well, I certainly see the numbers increasing out here, so that's consistent with what you're seeing on the other end of the street. And
so they think
it looks
some
like
guy has a gun out there.
Right. This was earlier.
I'm going to go with 2 right now. I can't say that definitely. The police say off to your screen right is someone with a gun, and what I seem to have heard is off to your screen left or straight ahead, there was some gunfire back there, and that drew a lot of police activity.
Why they got this up for live?
And you can see them looking kind
This
of
is earlier.
in the backyard of some of these houses, sort of down by the river. Now they're firing off more